stop scrolling, because if this is for you, you're going to feel it instantly. There are moments in life where you think you are just being kind, just helping someone, just making a random decision. But what if I told you something deeper? That one moment you forgot about didn't just change your life, it saved someone you're destined to meet. And now, they're being guided back to you, right now. Yes, right now. In this video, you're going to understand exactly this. Why certain random acts in your past were not random at all. How you may have unknowingly protected or saved someone deeply connected to your destiny. And the 3 undeniable signs that this person is already being brought back into your life. But be warned, by the end of this video, you might realize your story was never ordinary. It was coordinated. Chapter 1. The moment you didn't think mattered. You remember it, not as something big or dramatic, but as something small, almost forgettable at the time. That small decision you didn't think twice about. Helping someone you didn't really know. Answering a message when you could have ignored it. Staying a few extra minutes when you were already tired. Giving advice that felt ordinary. Or simply being present for someone who had nothing left. In that moment, your mind labeled it as normal. Just part of life, nothing important, and you moved on. But something else didn't move on. That moment stayed. It didn't disappear like the rest of your day. It continued, quietly, in a direction you couldn't see. Because what you called insignificant was actually a turning point in someone else's life. Not a small one, a decisive one. Somewhere, in a life completely separate from yours, your action interrupted something that was already in motion. A fall that could have gone deeper. A decision that could have gone darker. A breaking point that was closer than anyone realized. And your presence, your timing, shifted it. Not because you planned it, not because you understood it, but because something in that moment carried weight far beyond what you could see. And here's where it becomes even stranger. That person you affected was not random. Not just someone passing through. There is a deeper connection to your path that you were never aware of. A thread that was already there before you even understood why. You were not supposed to meet them at that time. The timing wasn't aligned yet. The story wasn't ready. The distance was still necessary. But something in you acted anyway, and something in them received it. And in that quiet exchange, so normal on the surface, so invisible in the moment, something was formed. Not emotional, not accidental, but directional. Like a line being drawn between 2 lives that are still moving toward each other without realizing it. After that moment, life continued like nothing happened. That's what makes it so easy to forget. But it didn't actually end there. It stayed active, silently, like something unfinished, waiting for the right timing to come back into focus. The connection you never noticed. Let's get sharper here. There are people you cross paths with briefly, but something about it feels strange, like déjà vu, like recognition without explanation. You don't understand it, so you ignore it, you move on. But spiritually speaking, this is exactly where most people miss the signal. Because not every connection announces itself clearly in the moment. Sometimes it just passes through you and leaves a trace you can't explain. And here's the truth most people overlook. You don't always meet your soulmate when everything is perfect or aligned. In fact, that's rarely how it happens. Sometimes you meet them when your own life is still being shaped, still unstable, still in motion. Because the meeting itself is not the destination, it's part of the preparation. And sometimes, you don't meet them in the way you think at all, because you may have already crossed their path before you ever knew who they were. In a moment that looked ordinary to you, but changed everything for them. A message you almost didn't send. A warning you gave without realizing its weight. A moment of kindness when it cost you nothing, but meant everything to them. A decision to stay, to listen, or simply not walk away when you easily could have. Something small on your side that stopped something big on theirs. A breaking point that didn't fully break. A collapse that was delayed. A direction that quietly shifted without anyone noticing, and you never even knew it happened. That's the part that changes everything. Because the most important intersections in life don't always look like meetings. Sometimes they look like random, forgettable moments that disappear from your memory, but stay alive in someone else's entire story. And that's where something deeper begins to form, quietly, invisibly, long before either of you realizes there was ever a connection at all. Why they're coming back now. Here's where everything tightens. There are seasons in life where things stop feeling forced and start feeling aligned. Not because you planned it, not because you worked harder, but because something in the background is shifting without your control. You notice it in small ways first. People you hadn't heard from in a long time suddenly reappear. Opportunities you thought were gone quietly come back in unexpected forms. Old emotions and memories you believed were finished start resurfacing again. And the strange part is, you didn't chase any of it. It just starts happening on its own. Not by coincidence, but by timing. Because life doesn't only move in a straight line. It moves in phases. And some phases are built for separation, while others are built for return. So if this message is reaching you right now, at this exact moment in your life, it's not random. It may be because you are entering one of those phases where things begin to realign without effort. And in this phase, something deeper starts to activate. Connections that were once delayed don't stay delayed forever. They begin to move again, quietly, gradually, almost invisibly at first. Think of it like this: two lives moving on separate paths, not fully disconnected, just out of sync. Living different experiences, going through different lessons, unaware of how close the structure behind it really is. But even in separation, they are not truly random. They are still orbiting the same center point. Not endlessly drifting, not lost. Just waiting for the right timing to bring everything back into alignment. And when that shift begins, it doesn't feel like something new is happening. It feels like something unfinished is finally starting to move again. Chapter 4. The 3 signs they're near you now. Pay attention. This is where most people either recognize it or miss it completely. Because what's happening here isn't loud or dramatic. It's subtle, patterned, almost easy to dismiss. But once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. Sign 1. Emotional pull without reason. You start thinking about someone you never fully understood your connection with. Not because something triggered it directly, not because you chose to. It just appears in your mind out of nowhere. A name, a face, a memory, a feeling you can't fully explain. And the strange part is how consistent it becomes. It repeats, it returns, even when nothing in your current life connects to them. No logic, no reason, but the feeling still pulls your attention back. Sign 2. Sudden life redirections. Then your external life starts shifting. Plans don't hold the way they used to. Things get delayed without explanation. People leave unexpectedly. Situation change at the last moment. What you thought was stable starts moving. At first it feels like chaos, like everything is misaligned. But over time, it doesn't feel random anymore. It feels like something is being adjusted, like paths are being cleared, redirected, reorganized, even if you don't understand the destination yet. Sign 3. Repeated encounters or messages. Then comes repetition. Names you keep hearing again and again. Symbols that keep showing up in different places. Dreams that feel oddly specific. Even strangers or casual conversations triggering a strange sense of familiarity. It's not just coincidence stacking on top of coincidence. It feels structured, like something is gently pushing the same presence back into your awareness from different directions, without forcing it. Not random. Re-entry signals. Chapter 5. The final reveal. Here's the truth most people miss. The person you're meant to meet isn't just arriving. They're returning. Not necessarily in a way they fully understand yet. Not consciously aware of you in the way you imagine. But something in their path is already shifting. Quietly, steadily. Like they're being guided closer without realizing it. And here's the part that changes everything. The version of you that affected them, the version that saved them in ways you never fully recognized, wasn't who you are now. It was an earlier version of you, a past version, a simpler, more instinctive version of you that acted in the exact right moment without overthinking it. Just a decision, just a presence, just a moment that seemed ordinary on your side. But that moment didn't stay ordinary. It created something invisible, but real, a thread. Not emotional in a surface sense, not something that fades or resets with time, but something deeper, something that holds structure, a connection that doesn't easily break, even when life moves forward and everything else changes. And now that thread isn't static anymore, it's responding. Because distance alone can't dissolve something that was formed at the right moment. Time doesn't erase it either. Instead, it adjusts it. It pulls it. It reactivates it when conditions align again. So what once felt like a distant, unrelated moment in your past starts to feel different now. Not because it changed, but because it's becoming active again in your present. And when a thread like that starts moving again, it doesn't feel like something new is being created. It feels like something unfinished is finally finding its way back into motion. Look at your life right now, not emotionally, but logically. If you remove the feelings for a moment and just observe what is actually happening, a pattern starts to appear that's hard to ignore. Things are moving into place faster than you expected. Not because you forced them, not because you controlled every outcome, but because something in the timing of your life is shifting on its own. What once felt slow or uncertain now feels like it's starting to move with direction. At the same time, people are shifting out. Connections don't hold the same way they used to. Some conversations end without explanation, some doors close without drama, and some relationships simply fade without a clear reason. It doesn't always feel emotional in the moment. It just feels like separation happening naturally. And in that same movement, something else begins to form. New patterns, new openings, new alignments that you didn't plan, but somehow fit together in a way that feels intentional when you look back at them. It's subtle at first, easy to overlook, easy to call coincidence. But over time, it starts to build structure. And then there's something else, something harder to define. A sense that something, or someone, feels like they are almost here. Not fully present in your life yet, not directly visible, but close enough that you start to feel the edge of it without knowing why. It's not certainty. It's not confirmation. It's proximity. And most people misunderstand this part. They assume almost means nothing is happening yet. But in reality, almost is not stillness. It's movement that hasn't fully entered your awareness yet. It's something crossing the final distance before it becomes visible. That strange tension between absence and presence, that quiet pressure you can't fully explain, is what signals the shift. Because that almost feeling, that's not emptiness. That's the transition zone. Now I want you to do something important. Write in the comments, "I am ready." Don't overthink it. I want to see how many people are noticing the shift happening in their lives right now. And also, stay with this channel, because if this message resonated even slightly, the next one will go even deeper. And before you click away, ask yourself this: what if the moment you almost forgot was actually the moment that started everything you're about to live next?